Thanks very much. This is Mark Galis, Chair of the Concord Transportation Advisory Committee. I'm calling the April 22nd, 2025 Concord Tech meeting to order at 9:42 a.m. and the meeting is being recorded. I'm not sure who
I did the last one.
Dan did the last minute CEOs. Phil did one. Ellen, you did one before.
Yeah,
I guess, we'll have the recording. We can figure out later.
yeah, we can do that. I'm happy to do it from the recording, considering I
Okay.
was late, so
Oh,
my penance.
you don't have to bid. Thank you very
You
much.
don't have that penance,
That's
so.
wonderful. Okay.
Phil is so dressed up, I don't recognize him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
every once in a while I have to go to court on TV, so.
Oh,
Yeah, it's nice, the tradition to
You
preserve.
play a
some-
lawyer on TV.
I do.
First order is to approve minutes, and Phil was kind enough to do minutes for the March 13th meeting, and I think the minutes are very good, except at the very end, the meeting was adjourned, should be changed to adjourned. And other than that,
Whoops, sorry about that.
well, that's the, it might have been the computer that was the word processor that misinterpreted. Did any other tech member have an amendment to the minutes?
No.
no,
Alan?
no, they were
Okay.
fine.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've completed that piece of business. The next thing is chair's report, which I'll keep very brief. The main thing I wanted to mention, refer to in the meeting is that on April 17th, I received a copy of a letter from the MCI Concord Redevelopment Project Advisory Board from chair of the subcommittee, MCI Concord Community Outreach Subcommittee, so John Boynton, and it asked for a number of things. Number one, it said it asked for a group response with thoughts about the MCI project and suggestions by April 30th. So fortunately, there was today's meeting scheduled already. So I put on the agenda later for us to consider a response, and I drafted something to kind of get us started, and we can maybe edit that in real time. The second thing in the letter, which I want to highlight, is that there will be, it announces 2 community workshops to share site analysis and preliminary ideas for the MCI site's future and gather input on the future use. And one is on Wednesday, April 30th, between 3 and 5 p.m. and between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. at Concord Carlisle High School cafeteria. So April 30th, 3 to 5 and 6 to 9 for MCI information. And also the location is not determined, but Wednesday, May 28th, there will be further sharing of emerging scenarios for the MCI future use. And because transportation obviously is a big part of this, it'd be great if PAC members can go there and observe. And if there's any thought that a quorum of PAC members would be there, we may want to also declare it as a tech meeting. The third thing in that letter was just saying that if any committee would like or group would like the advisory board to attend a meeting and share updates, they would be willing to do that. I'm not sure if we need anything dedicated like that, certainly at this point, but maybe in the future of tech, when things are shaping up more firmly. But I do think it'd be good for people to go to some of the outreach meetings and learn more. There's a lot to follow with 3 committees.
So,
Ellen, any comments or questions from PAC
Yeah.
members?
yeah, I went to the one that was the West Concord Advisory Committee when MCI Concord team presented, and it was spectacular. It was really, really good. And they gave a really good overview of where they were, even though I don't have plans solidified. So I actually think whenever we do it, it would be really good to have it as part of our meeting and, let's see, maybe wait until after the April 30th meeting, but I think to have them attend a meeting would be good.
Any comments, Phil?
Just a quick question. The first set of meetings on April 30th, did you say that was at the high school?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
3 to 5 p.m. and 6 to 9 p.m.
And the
The
second
e-
set was undetermined at this point, right?
Yeah, May 28th, Wednesday, May 28th. So both Wednesdays, and it doesn't say exactly where.
Thanks.
Okay, all right. So then, I think Nick is on his way, but the next item on the agenda was to finalize a TAC letter of support for the 2025 annual town meeting warrant article number 8. And I asked Heather to post and distribute a draft that Nick volunteered to provide. And I started editing a little bit. Rebecca Woodward cannot be here today, but she sent some comments too that we can consider adding in. So I want to make sure. Let me see if I can bring this up and share screen. There, see if I'm able to share. Okay, can people see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right, so I just put a title on it, and I left the word out here. Concord's Transportation Advisory Committee strongly supports passage of Concord 2025 ATM Article 8, and then I didn't change any of just a second. In addition, there has been consistent community feedback about need for road and sidewalk. I said road, sidewalk, and crossing safety improvements. And then in terms of what I'm suggesting adding is TAC believes Article 8 multi-year funding authorization will enable the town to pursue more efficient, effective multi-year approach to project planning and implementation, as well as enable the town to more expeditiously take advantage of grant funding opportunities as they become available. Town is making good start on needed road maintenance and safety. Now, I'm going to ask everybody to offer suggestions, but Rebecca sent me a suggestion. She said that my request, Rebecca's email says, my request for the letter of support about the Public Works Road Article 8 is to add language to the TAC endorsement stating more explicitly the commitment to bike and safety investments. For example, quote, we are encouraged to hear Public Works firm commitment to allocate 10% of these funds for bike and safety improvements. Follow through will be essential, unquote. So I think it's fine to add that.
I'm a little concerned about having a specified percentage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not sure.
agree. I think that I thought that Nick did a good job of saying funds explicitly earmarked for safety improvements. I think that was a key, but I don't think that we should say that in any way we need to oversee what Public Works is doing, because I think what we're trying to do is to support this bond issue. And if anything, I don't quite know how to add it, what the wording would be, but it impressed me that funding at the current rate actually makes the roads worse or more percentage backlog or more percentage roads that have unacceptable condition. I think it went from 38% to 40-something% at current level, and that the front end loading of the dollars, 7 million for X years and then 2.5 million actually reduces that number down to 8%. I think somehow phrasing that, in other words, that business as usual can't happen. So because I'm kind of worried that somebody will amend this and say, let's give them half. And what that will do is basically condemn us to a steadily deteriorating road system. So I don't quite, I have to think about, I'm not good at like editing on the fly, but something to that effect, which was what that the slide from the presentation that said that I think was the most compelling slide
Okay,
from
so
the hearing.
hold on to that thought for a second.
Okay, sure.
In terms of addressing Rebecca's input, what if in the sentence on the screen now, the Transportation Advisory Committee strongly supports safety improvements that will be done? What if we said the Transportation Advisory Committee strongly supports Public Works commitment to implementing safety improvements in conjunction with road maintenance in addition to something like that?
I think we're.
Maybe to say,
Okay, all right, so you want to kind of.
I
if you
kind of
both
like the
wanna-
way it's up there.
Okay, good, all right.
I mean, that's my opinion.
No, it's, what we want ideally is to come out that the 4 members of TAC present here and possibly a 5th if Nick comes, will vote to approve the letter. So, okay, so let's leave that as it is and let's ask.
maybe, just one thing, maybe rather than saying in addition to,
Mhm.
maybe say with funding explicitly earmarked. So it's in addition to, sounds like it was an afterthought. And I
Yeah,
think that what,
It's a little bit awkward.
the-
to like-
Along with.
well, just
Um,
As
with
part.
funds explicitly earmarked. Isn't
Mhm.
that
Oh.
okay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine, explicitly, yeah, with funds, with a portion of funds or with funds.
I mean, just with funds explicitly, oh, rather, okay, yeah, with funds explicitly earmarked. Because I think that was something that Public
Okay.
Works heard and said that they would earmark funds
Without
for
funds.
safety improvement.
Sure. Let me just make sure.
I mean, they're looking for a letter of support. I don't think they're looking for us to.
No, yeah, not.
Exactly. Well said. That's what I was trying to say. I think we're supposed to be saying why we support, and why we support is because they earmarked safety improvement and because their funding schedule will reduce the percentage of roads that are in poor condition.
Okay, so I want to get to incorporating
That's
what
later.
you were adding, Ellen. Before that, does anyone on TAC at the meeting have comments pro or con about what I added in about multi-year planning? TAC believes that our Article 8 multi-year funding authorization will enable the town to pursue more efficient and effective multi-year approach to project planning and implementation, et cetera. Does that sound okay? Because to me, you know, what Ellen is saying about the condition of the roads and the cost is really important. But I also think it's important to note that I think it hobbles the town's efforts to implement projects of an effective size and cost if every single year you have to go for a separate funding. And you can't even plan for a contractor. Well, we'll give you this contract for the first half of this project, but you'll have to wait town meeting till we tell you about the other half.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Plus the fact that town meeting overlaps with when the road work can begin. So you want to award a contract before the good weather,
Yeah,
not
in town meeting.
not
after
halfway
the-
through the summer
Yeah,
with bids and things. So the cycle, it disconnects the cycles, makes them independent.
I'd like to expand on that more efficient than effective.
Go ahead.
Something in terms of, oh gosh. Yeah, it's ultimately it saves money. I mean, that's the whole Steve
Yeah.
Dukran approach. to this.
More efficient and cost effective or time and cost, I don't know.
Yeah, more efficient, cost effective and cost effective multi-year approach.
Cost effective was that helps.
Yeah.
Is that hyphenated or not? We'll find out.
Yeah.
That's hyphenated, yes.
It
It is hyphenated.
I think so.
Anyway, we
That
can
looks
do
better.
that.
Yeah.
We can do that. Okay, good. Okay, now Ellen, you had an important comment
Well,
about.
I would
the
say,
Condition.
yeah, maybe delete the last sentence because I think that it kind of isn't very
Sure,
strong.
No,
Um,
no. Okay.
I think we're saying something to the effect of the funding schedule, the proposed, was it 5-year funding schedule?
It's an
will-
authorization.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a 5-year authorization to be spent as.
Will enable the town or I'm not good at wordsmithing on the fly, but something to the effect of the proposed 5-year authorization will reduce the percentage, helping out somebody, will reduce the percentage of our roads that are in unacceptable condition, whatever the right term is. I don't want to use their, was it pavement, PCI, but
You don't wanna use that? That,
Excuse me?
that seems like a term of art that's kind of that's the focus of what they're trying to do is bring up the overall PCI. You know,
we'll reduce, well,
let me.
we'll have
let me
to reduce the percentage of roads in unacceptable condition, or rather in poor condition.
See what it looks like.
I mean,
Would
you
you
could
wanna say
almost,
something about falling into poor condition?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Cause it
now,
wasn't,
now falling,
yes.
there was something about a trajectory. of-
yeah, now
Mm.
Mhm.
falling into, exactly, poor condition.
Due to
Uh,
underfunding.
Well, and I would just say, and while, at the same time, uh, moving, moving to a lower,
Steady, a more affordable, or something like a
lower cost.
cost-effective, steady state.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well,
well, we say that above.
simultaneously, we do.
We do,
Uh,
we do say that again.
Well, we said that about project planning, I'll just put something. Um, uh. A more affordable. Continuing.
Annual expenditure, yeah.
Maintenance. Cost or something, or expenditure.
Maybe expenditure, yeah.
Yeah.
We could probably still wordsmith it, but I thought that,
Is that to replace that paragraph you added there? Because it kind of duplicates a lot of it.
Well, I don't mind, yeah, I see what you mean. Well, I mean, they could possibly be combined. I don't mind myself, things being wordy if it gives, support. And I also sort of foresee the possibility of myself or someone else speaking for the TAC at town meeting and pulling from this thing that TAC has approved and is in the budget. So having the flexibility, I mean, these, we can shift these around. I think the newly added sentence is good from the standpoint of the evangelist pointing out that we'll get better roads, reduce the percentage of roads. Let's see. And
you
I
could
could,
take,
yeah,
to Dan's point, you could take your sentence that, and where it ends, project planning and implementation, and put then the
Mhm.
comment about reducing the percentage of roads, and then moving to an affordable continuing annual maintenance, and then say, in addition, this will enable the town to take advantage of grant funding, because I think that's a different thought, and it was something I never would have thought about.
in addition, this will enable, that's good. I like that.
This multi-year planning. You might want to say what this is, this multi-year planning. Or multi-year plan.
I'll just say approach
Yes, that's good.
will enable the town to more expeditiously take advantage of, take
You
better
want to say
advantage.
this,
Yes,
to take advantage. This will allow the town to take advantage of, maybe, I think it's wordy, but I think we can all look at this and suggest that it's.
yeah, okay, let's.
But I think
okay.
those are the 2 points. First, it's more cost effective because you
Good.
you reduce the road, because everyone hates the road, the potholes, but also then it'll be more affordable going forward. And in terms of tax impact, I think that that's a good message. Impacts on the
Right.
tax rate. Or
So-
budget.
So let me read through from the top of what's on the screen. The Transportation Advisory Committee strongly supports safety improvements that will be done in conjunction with road maintenance with funds, and with funds explicitly earmarked for safety improvements because and the fact that funds are explicitly earmarked, certain funds are explicitly earmarked for safety improvements. How do we
I
massage
think
that?
with is okay. I think you don't need and.
Okay, all right, good.
Well, are they explicitly
I think
earmarked?
they,
Yes. There was a little complication because of there's something like there's a certain amount of money that was subtracted from my understanding is there's 2.5 million of the authorization is specifically earmarked for safety improvements, but other 25 million, the understanding and expectation is the town will also incorporate safety improvements as part of reconstruction of roads where it makes sense and is efficient. But there was one other thing that happened was the exact amounts of the bonding authorization were adjusted by having some money added in from something else and then taken out. So there's some other financial thing that I don't think we can get more explicit on the details, but I think this is good. So if we say, should this be in the
Colin?
paragraph? TAC believes Article 8 multi-year funding.
sir, where?
Okay, so
Sure.
we talked about explicitly, so let me make this a new paragraph. TAC believes that Article 8, let me just read through it to see if people think the phrasing is clear and captures what we want. TAC believes that Article 8 multi-year funding authorization, Article 8's, if we like Article 8, apostrophe S, or that the Article 8 multi-year funding authorization, okay, I'll just.
I don't think you need to repeat the article, because you already said that it's in support of Article 8. You just say believes that multi-year planning.
Good, okay, that's great. That multi-year funding authorization, that this multi-year funding authorization will enable the town to pursue a more efficient, cost-effective multi-year approach to project planning and implementation. The proposed 5-year funding authorization will allow the town to reduce the percentage of roads now falling into poor condition, while simultaneously moving to a more affordable continuing annual maintenance expenditure. I think that's nothing terrible, but if we get out of the terrible mode.
Yeah.
And then in addition, this multi-year approach will enable the town to more expeditiously take advantage of grant funding opportunities as they become available. Expeditiously might be a little extra, but I do think it's important to let people know that it's a question of it's here and then it's not here. There's a deadline. Oh, then you have to commit to co-fund something. And if you don't have an authorization, application is not really considered. So I don't know if there's a smoother way to say that, but
What if we just take that more expeditiously? Will enable the town to take advantage of grant funding opportunities.
you could say quickly or.
I think you just say take advantage of, because I mean, you can explain it.
That's fine. That's fine,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think
You
that
could-
the point, I think that the addition in this paragraph is grant funding.
Yes,
Yes,
That's the thought.
okay.
And Carlin
All
has a
right.
comment. I don't know when, probably,
Phil, do you have, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Carlin, please, yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlin Reed, 83 Wits End, member of the Finance Committee, but speaking on my own behalf. On Thursday night this week, the Finance Committee is going to be considering its recommendation on Article number 8.
oh,
And it will be a topic of extended discussion, I believe. Will the TAC have a position, if not a letter, finalized before that? In other words, can I report that the TAC supports this article? Will you have a finalized letter to present to the finance committee showing your support. What can you do? That's my suggestion is, if you intend to support it, and if you want to influence the finance committee's recommendation of this article, Thursday night at 7 o'clock is the time.
Okay, so, thank you, Carolyn. My, intention or desire is that we approve this, letter of support today, right now. And we, the intention is to submit it then for inclusion in the, in briefing book, for which the deadline is April 30th. But if we prove it today, then it can certainly be shared with the, finance committee on Thursday. That TAC has, as a committee, indicated their support in this, as a letter.
Terry has her hand up.
Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Carlin, for bringing that up. The Finance Committee did have a very, very long discussion about Article 8. There are some different opinions there. They're not unanimous on supporting it. I would recommend that you get that letter to the chair, your letter to the chair immediately after this meeting, so it can be distributed. And also to do what you did last year. I believe Mark and Phil and maybe some others were at that meeting advocating for the article. I think your points in this letter, if you could say those points to them, even on Zoom, it would be very effective. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Hey, Terry, could I ask a question of you?
Sure.
What are the differing views? I mean, where is the divide in the,
Yeah.
in the community?
You know what? I think Carlin could answer that. I was on Zoom and kind of multitasking, but it went on in fact, I was in another meeting. I came in partway through. Carlin could probably answer that.
If I may, Carlin, read again, still not speaking for the finance committee, but just reporting what happened at the finance committee meeting. It's a lot of money. That's the big thing. At a time when we have told the town they have to cut back on their budget, we told the schools they had to cut back on their budget. So it's the dollar amount. It isn't that part of it is earmarked for TAC. I think that's a great idea. I'm glad it happened. Go forward, do it. It's a lot of money. And we have to calculate as part of the town's budget the debt service that the debt going forward will incur. Now, I don't know if there's a way to try and reduce that or at least spread out the debt service. I have no idea. That's really Public Works Commission. But the discussion on that particular point at the FinCom was, it's a lot of money. That's it.
Okay, so let me just add real quick then. In your letter, TAC, you are stating the cost effectiveness because if we wait, it's going to cost a lot more. So that's what you want to emphasize. It's not like we're going to have a lot more money in 3 or 4 years. It seems like let's spend the money now because it's more cost effective.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was at that meeting also, and I did say, I did speak up and, report that TAC would be, considering this, document at the meeting today. One thing I observed that was, obviously there's concern about the large expenditure. On the other hand, there's times when to protect the investment, you know, the asset that we have in 108 miles of roads from falling into unusable condition, it's prudent to borrow money to protect an asset. But I did hear one a little bit less relevant question in relation to this, which was, you know, how did this come about? But we're where we are now, and we have to go forward with the best possible construction of dealing with needs. So would it make sense to say after the proposed 5-year funding authorization, et cetera, to more affordable continuing annual maintenance expenditure to say delaying this, 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 delaying this delaying this funding will only increase the ultimate cost to the town or something.
Maybe it's something like, wait, is the current level of funding 2.5 million?
Yes,
Okay, so something like the, I had it in my head, now it's gone. red- Something like sustaining or continuing the current level of funding will only, and maybe that's, we'll repeat some of what's in that last paragraph, will, and I like what you said, will cause a large percentage of the roads to fall into disrepair. The proposed funding will, I'm not saying this well, it's kind of like the current rate will only make things worse. And I like that your word of protect the investment in 110 miles of roads. I wonder, I'm not sure I would actually love to maybe adding something like that. And then I think this needs to be edited down so that each paragraph is focusing on a separate topic. Because I think that what Terry's saying and what Carlin's saying is the current level funding at the current rate will cause the roads to fall into disrepair and actually put us in a worse position than we are now. But it's got to be said, because to counter the statement of it's a lot of money, because that definitely will resonate on the floor of town meeting.
okay, so if we use that approach, do we say we're gonna add another sentence after expenditure to that effect, and then revise the sentence ending with expenditure? Sven Weber, the chair of the Public Works Commission, described, and the Stantec consultant and Public Works Department, that, the backlog or the deficit, if you will, the liability of, costs of bringing roads up to good condition is going to increase rapidly if we don't, take rapid action. Sven called this basically a situation where a liability has been kept off the books for a number of years and, kind of kicking down the road. So I guess if the sentence would be
Maybe it's something to the effect of maintaining or
continuing
the current level of expenditure will result in deteriorating road conditions and a future liability. Something like, higher future costs or future liability to repair.
will result in
Rapidly deteriorating road conditions.
I just say rapidly deteriorating roads, and
Increased future costs. Maintenance cost.
to me, it's dramatically
Yes, okay, good. Lots of good adjectives
higher
here.
future cost.
Yeah.
That's just as to get it down on paper.
Because I bet, and we can play with it, but I think you're right, Sven, and then Mary Hartman kept saying that it's hard to express to in the town budget a future liability, which is what Sven was talking about.
Okay, for our, I would say 100 plus miles of roads
in
will in town, of town roads.
No, it's okay, the roads,
Okay, roads will result in
rapidly deteriorating, you can say rather than roads, conditions.
road conditions. Yeah,
No, just conditions, so you don't have to use the word road twice.
Well,
Okay, fine.
I think, anyway, this is a different discussion. I think these days we have to spoon feed everything to ourselves because we're so preoccupied with too many.
Right, okay.
I want it to be very understandable as a single sentence. Continuing the current level of expenditure of our
Now you put 108 miles.
108, okay, 108 miles. I heard somebody say 106, 108. 108 is what I've heard more often, so the vote, majority vote is 108 miles of roads. Roadway, or roads,
Just roads.
will result in rapidly deterioration road conditions and dramatically, and a dramatically higher future cost or dramatically? Okay, where's my cursor? There. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay.
No, I think
all right.
that, I mean, I really appreciate Carlin and Terry's comments about what the FinCom said. So if that was the comment, it's a lot of money. We have to really hit hard that not spending that will mean the roads get worse and our future costs go up. And then it's a question of, if you don't want to spend this, are you okay with roads that are deteriorating?
What if
And
we move that sentence, continuing the current one will result in rapidly deteriorating road conditions and dramatically higher future costs. What if we move that up to be the second sentence in the whole
I
thing?
love it. Sure.
Or the second.
Move it up because that's going to be that's the money.
want
That's
people
the
to-
question.
People who are.
That's what everyone in the town meeting is going to say the same thing. 27 million. Let's give them half. I can just hear that conversation, the amendment that says, I'm going to give you half.
It's a 5-year allocation though.
And it's an authorization.
Yeah, but still, they're going to say that, okay, you only get the current level this year, which will do nothing. It just kicks the town,
All right, so we bring that up to the
Okay.
top, which is good.
Yeah.
I like the idea of really, we have to play up the benefits of the multi-year aspect of this. I mean, because that, it takes the sticker shock out of it to some degree.
Yeah, so we can, do we want to,
What are the benefits of a multi-year approach? Well, it allows us to apply for, to apply in a wider grant funding pool. It allows for more efficient planning and execution.
Okay, so how about I take the money things and put them higher? And then, hopefully, I'll store this as another version just a minute, in case we lose what we've got. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. So I think, what did I do? Did I copy something? I better make sure I okay, we already moved that. And let me again put so we're talking about the kind of cost reduction benefits as opposed to.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to address this issue of sticker shock.
Okay,
Hmm.
so
Mhm.
so we do a little bit of intro, but then we immediately say continuing current level of expenditure on 108 miles of roads will only result in.
Yeah, put down put only before result.
Okay. Result in rapidly deteriorating, further rapidly.
No, delete it. It's fine.
Okay, all right, so it's goes away. Continuing the current level of expenditure for 108 miles of roads will only result in rapidly deteriorating road conditions and a dramatically higher future cost of repair. A multi-year funding authorization will enable the town to pursue more efficient, cost-effective multi-year approach to project planning and implementation. In addition, this multi-year approach will enable the town to take advantage of grant funding opportunities as they should I say quickly as they become available, or more, is that? Against.
I don't know if it is.
Well, the time element, I mean,
You could say to respond to grant funding opportunities.
Yes, that's
okay,
great.
to respond to.
Yeah.
As they become available, or,
Do we need
want-
as they become available? Can we just leave it after opportunities?
Well, I think that the timeliness of being able to apply for a grant in the middle of a
Mm.
fiscal
well,
cycle.
why don't we just say.
Say respond quickly.
Respond
Yeah.
quickly and then
Okay.
leave the last part out.
And if we keep efficiency in it, I think that leads to
that-
the whole cost
That
effectiveness.
balances the cost.
Yep.
Because how do, in addition, this multi-year approach will enable the town to respond quickly to grant funding opportunities.
I'd like to kind of
To-
bulletize these pros,
We can, I mean,
because we're talking about the multi-year approach. And if it were to be reduced, if people say, fine, well, we'll approve 15 million. We're doing that on a.
well, I'll tell you one thing, and this, again, it's funny how some things are simple and complicated at the same time. Continuing the current level of expenditure, et cetera, will only result in, et cetera, and higher future costs to repair. Enabling accelerated improvements is the only way to move to this more cost-effective and higher performing situation, right? So we're trying to accelerate. What we're trying to sell is an acceleration. So I don't know if we want to. I'll just put it in. How many? Do we have 2 L's? No.
Yeah.
I don't think I was. Acceler.
ION, CION.
Well, I was trying to say accelerated or accelerating. I don't know what you want to say. Speeding up. I don't know.
Do you mean front loading?
Front loading, yeah. We just say front loading, road improvement.
Improvements.
Prioritizing or intensifying, maybe?
No,
Sorry
no,
for
no, it's
jumping in.
it's front loading. In other words, there's a lot more money in year 1 through 2, 3.
To front loading road improvements will better protect, I'll just put some words on, protect. Road infrastructure assets. And better, preserve existing, how should I say? There's kind of 3 things. We'll get better condition and lower maintenance, ongoing maintenance, but we also will preserve the existing investments. So, what can we say? Front loading road improvements. Or enabling front loading is, I mean,
Isn't it saying the same thing as the previous sentence, but only in a positive way? I wonder if it's like, we're saying if you just level fund, it's gonna result in bad things. And
Right,
front loading maybe the next, the next point is the multi-year funding. And then maybe finally, front loading is not as important as the multi-year funding aspect. In other words, to authorize, isn't that what we're doing? A 5-year.
authorizing money to be borrowed, enabling town to borrow money as needed, within this limit. First cost multiplier treasury. What we could do is when we say in addition, et cetera, what we could say is front loading road network improvement, road condition improvement. Will lead to better road, will save money, will give us cost savings and long-term cost savings and higher performing roads.
Why? I'm not
Yeah.
comfortable with this front loading thing.
Okay.
I mean, I think
okay.
I don't know if we really need it because it's really multi-year. And it's really the opposite is if we just keep level funding, then the sentence at the top of the screen is what we get.
We can't explain everything and.
Right,
there's some-
exactly.
No, that's the job of DPW.
Okay, shall I read through the whole thing and people just quickly tell me what the thumbs up, thumbs
Because
down.
the DPW will show the schedule. What we're
Yeah.
doing, and I think you said it, Dan, is countering the sticker shock.
Right.
Okay. Hey, Phil, you haven't been saying much. Do you have something to?
I have a chest cold, sorry.
No, no.
So the only thing that I would add is there's some language in the article itself, which talks about, just give me 1 second. There is a phrase that's used. It's like the last sentence of the sort of explanation of the article, talking about how this will allow a more quote unquote predictable and sustainable annual spending plan. I think
No, that's
might want
not a
to.
big.
That's a nicer way to say it than we just said. Predictable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to get to another
Okay,
meeting, but
all right,
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
I think we.
Bye.
Okay.
So my point was to maybe mimic that language of predictable
Sure.
and sustainable annual spending plan.
Okay.
We're-
We'll put that in. I think a little bit further down, there was, if you can move down a little bit in your text there, Mark.
Well, we could put it as the final word. I mean, that's fits right with the, or at least for the time being.
It belongs up a few paragraphs there.
Okay, let me just clean this up.
Thank you.
Oops. I'm in the funny edit mode. 1 second.
What was it? Predictable and
The language is,
Sustainable.
Why don't I type it in anywhere and then we'll paste it somewhere? So go ahead, please read it, Phil.
it says,
That would-
that the goal of this warrant article is to create a more predictable and sustainable annual spending plan. And maybe that
Annual, I'm sorry, annual what? More
spending
sustainable?
plan.
did it say annual?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but it's,
So
Okay.
maybe what we can say is that we support the goal to create a more predictable and sustainable annual spending plan.
Tech supports the goal of this, of Article 8 to move the town, to enable the town to move to. Anyway, I'll make it wordy and we can always,
That's that's a nice, thanks, Phil, for finding that. That's a,
Yeah.
it's a nice phrase.
Somebody worked hard on that.
I think that's Sven. It sounds like Sven.
I believe in plagiarism. I'm a lawyer, so.
Good for you.
It does, then it kind of raises this thing of, it's a big price tag to create a more predictable and sustainable plan.
And then
well, instead of sustainable, just say lower cost. I mean, I don't know. I mean, sustainable is implying,
Resulting in lower costs.
Yeah. No, sustainable in this term, in the FinCom's term, is sustainable in terms of we can afford this on the,
Right.
the citizens will, in terms of the impact on the tax rate, it's
Let me
sustainable,
do-
which is another word for support, affordable, lower
well, I
impact.
don't think they're planning on a lower cost annual spending plan.
They are, yes, it's coming out that, here's the interesting situation with the road maintenance modeling. Surrounding towns, Bedford, Lexington, have followed this path and have aimed for a much higher quality of average road condition. And it turns out to get there, you need to spend this front-loaded money. Once you get there, it turns out that the higher the condition you aim for, the lower the annual cost. And right now we're spending $2.5 million going down and down in quality. if we can spend this authorization over 3 years or 4 years or even 5 years, we will move to a better condition, and the cost, instead of 2.5 projected cost, instead of 2.5 million, will be either 2 or 1.5. Or even if you could do everything super fast, could move to 1, because all the roads would be in great condition and they don't take much maintenance. So it actually is ironic that the faster you spend the 25 million, the more benefits you reap, but there's a limitation of staff of what they could supervise. In terms of, we can't close all the roads in town simultaneously. Isn't for repairs. So, I don't know, sustainable speaks to the language of the FinCom, but for the public at large, lower cost is simpler words, and sustainable is this balancing act between tax revenue and tax types of taxes we might have in the future, and expense. So I don't know. Do people like that sentence? Want to change it, and where would it go?
The last sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily go there. I just wanted to capture. Is it big enough for people to see? Oops, that's too big.
That's, if anything, get rid of the ribbon. Never mind.
Anyway, sorry.
So maybe to keep it short, instead of saying using IE, maybe you take that out and just put the words lower cost in parentheses.
Yeah.
Yes, great, thanks, good suggestion. We have to try to
Yeah.
speak in clear language.
So the
and then
lower
we do not
cost
need to come-
is applicable to the post 5-year. Yeah, that's
Yes.
the ultimate goal.
Yes, yeah,
Okay, that's the
Move-
annual spending plan.
to move after, we could say to move after 5 years to a more, I don't know. We could be explicit about that.
So what we're saying is that 2.5 million that we've been doing is a Band-Aid approach, where the wound isn't getting any better. In
getting
fact,
worse.
it's getting
Getting
worse.
worse. In fact, the charts and the modeling show
Right.
that. Yeah. I mean, one we could do is to move from the current unsustainable to a more predictable and sustainable spending plan. From the current unsustainable annual spend, annual. Anyway,
Well, I think that belongs further up when we speak about the deteriorating road conditions.
yeah. Can we,
This is kind of a nice,
is it okay to, I mean, I like the last
Yeah.
sentence say supports the goal. I think this ties it up. Shall we read through the whole thing or, okay, all right. Concord's Transportation Advisory Committee strongly supports passage of Concord 2025 ATM Article 8. Since shortly after its inception, the Transportation Advisory Committee has stated that the quality of our roads is of primary importance for the mobility of all residents. Poor road quality can be annoying to drivers of motor vehicles, but pavement defects can be disastrous for cyclists and pedestrians. Continuing the current level of expenditure for 108 miles of roads will only result in rapidly deteriorating road conditions and a dramatically higher future cost of repair. A multi-year funding authorization will enable the town to pursue a more efficient, cost-effective, multi-year approach to project planning and implementation. In addition, this multi-year approach will enable the town to respond quickly to grant funding opportunities. In addition, there's been consistent community feedback about the need for road, sidewalk, and crossing safety improvements. Discussions between PAC, Public Works Commission, and Concord Public Works staff give us confidence that roadway maintenance projects funded by these bonds will include safety improvements conforming to new standards that are being created. In addition, some safety projects will be implemented where roadway maintenance is not being done. We also understand Concord Public Works will continue working, I think. Working with our planning department, that's probably a capital planning division. What it's called, I think. Police department, that's probably capitalized too. And third-party consultant, should we say third-party consultants? We have 2 contracts right now, we get more,
Yeah,
probably. In developing a list of projects that will be considered for implementation from this bond funding, the Transportation Advisory Committee strongly supports safety improvements that will be done in conjunction with road maintenance explicitly earmarked for safety. Okay, we use safety improvements. Supports, we can just say supports,
Safety improvements incorporated within this plan, in this budget.
don't we address that up above?
yeah, I think we do, right? We talk about safety.
Yeah,
Community feedback about it, safety improvements conforming to standards. We could put in conforming to standards being created and supported by, funding.
Do we need that paragraph?
Explicitly, just a minute. Up here, we said, will include, projects funded by these bonds will include safety improvements conforming to new standards that are being created. And with, as,
can we take out, give us confidence that roadway maintenance
Yes.
projects,
yes,
just make it will include safety improvements conforming to new standards? And should we address new standards?
yeah, well, they keep emerging in different options. Okay, just a minute. Let me just do discussions between TAC, Public Works, have identified or have, discussions between Transportation Advisory Committee, Public Works, Concord Public Works staff. Say have identified or have promoted roadway or indicated
Roadway maintenance projects.
the need for.
Do we need to say roadway maintenance projects? Can we just say the Public Works Commission, Public Works staff willing,
Will work, will implement, I mean. Will use earmarked funds.
Yeah.
Will use. Okay, so just it.
Do you need the conforming to new standards? Is that something I'm missing as to why that's important?
I think Nick's not online, right?
no,
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we need it.
You could say,
On
yeah,
it?
just saving, it's like, I think all these standards are, change over
Influx.
time.
Yeah, I
influx.
think, I don't think we need it. Cause it's getting a little long-winded.
But I don't, to implement safety improvements. If because we're taking out the words about in conjunction with road maintenance, I'm not sure that
Yeah.
this last phrase, unless you want to reinforce that,
Okay.
that it, because what was said is there will be, where the road is being made, is changes in the road are being made, safety will be included in the improvements, but there also will be safety improvements where the road is not, road maintenance isn't
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, so how do we combine that? So discussions between Transportation Advisory Committee, Public Works Commission and Concord, confirm that, both.
Maybe it's safe to both both for roads being maintained and in locations. I'm just. Let me see.
Anyway, hold on a second. I'm not, well, why don't we just say, instead of discussions, get rid of that, say Transportation Advisory Committee, Public Works Commission, Concord Public Works staff are in agreement that, and we say, safety implements will be, safety improvements will be implemented both with the, as part of, road maintenance and also,
As a standalone separate activity.
yeah, okay, so just a minute. I can say where to, and get rid of that. The Public Works are in agreement that, safety improvements. Safety improvements will be safety projects. You say safety project, I like safety projects actually, because it's more. That safety projects will be implemented. Both where roadway maintenance is being done and with special and with specially earmarked funds,
Huh?
other
Or anything.
locations. Is that getting closer?
So
I don't know.
implemented both, implemented in conjunction with roadway maintenance.
Yes,
And for standalone safety projects.
and for safety,
no.
and okay,
For stand,
Uh,
for specify, and for other specified locations.
okay, roadway projects. And for other. Other what, identified locations or
Yeah.
specified? Okay, other, I'm sorry, got it backwards. Other needed locations, identified needed locations.
Just identified locations.
You could say priority locations too. Anyway, identified locations is good.
No, priority.
You like priority?
Okay.
Priority? There are, we've got some, we've definitely got some.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right, let's keep going. We're grinding away. We also understand Public Works to continue work. Do we want to say for implementation from this bond funding, or do we want to say,
Where are we?
this makes sense. We also understand Concord Public Works will continue working with our planning division, police department, and third-party consultants in developing list of projects. I guess this is fine. From this, okay, transportation, insurance, sports safety. Okay, so
Isn't there already a list developed?
they're still working on there's an emerging list. Hopefully the next TAC meeting on May 15th, we're gonna have somebody from Stantec come, I hope. And
But then, I mean, if they're gonna start working on developing a list, where do they arrive at the number of $27.5 million?
well, the 25 million is, I think a starting point for the road maintenance improvement, and then it's a balance between how much bond authorization the town will vote for and how fast the town could actually administer improvements. So that's kind of a strike the balance. If you had more money, you could do it faster, you would even get to a better place faster.
But so what we're trying to do is help justify the $25 million
Yes.
number.
Yes, and
So if
also
there's, but if there's not a developed list of projects, I mean, this is implying that they're gonna develop a list.
yes, it's being developed, and for other, so.
It sounds like we need to make the case that that's the right number. Or help them
What's
make.
the purpose? So, and Nick wrote this. What's the purpose for that paragraph?
Which one?
That it's
We
collaboration
also-
between Public Works, planning and police and the consultant. Because will people read that as they don't even have a list yet?
Yeah, it's a wish list.
I think we should throw that out, if you ask me.
I'm not sure it's, the
Doesn't
fact
add
that
any-
Dan is questioning it makes me worry that it's,
Hasn't added any,
Yeah.
and getting too long, and it's sort of repetitive because we already talked about it. Other,
And again, don't we say this, the paragraph about safety, have we already said that?
Okay, what about, Transportation Advisory Committee, Public Works Commission, and the Concord Public Works staff, let's see, where do we, okay, what about saying something, Transportation Advisory Committee, Public Works Commission, and Concord Public Works staff and consultants are in, proceeding with identification of safety projects to be implemented both in conjunction with roadway and other priority.
Oh, that's maybe a better way to phrase the collaboration for safety.
Yeah, it's not that we're talking together, and consultants are currently
Or collaborating to identify.
things. Safety projects. Safety projects that will be essentially
Both in conjunction with
then
roadway
we can
maintenance
combine both of them.
and other priority. Can you get rid of those second projects? In conjunction with roadway maintenance and for other priority locations.
Yeah, we don't need that. Working, collaborating to identify safety projects that will be implemented both in conjunction with road maintenance and for other priority, using.
I don't
and
think you
can-
need, because this whole, we're talking about bonding. I don't think you need to repeat that. It's about the
Yeah, we
bond.
probably don't need, yeah, we don't really need that. We don't really need that.
So is that strong enough for what Rebecca was wanting? You know, it's going to be safety projects as part of maintenance, but also specific locations, which I don't know if you want to say other safety prioritized locations, but it's other priority locations.
And for other,
Maybe for other locations where safety is a concern. How about that?
well, I don't wanna,
Okay.
and I'll just say, I mean, we can just say using both, in conjunction with roads and for other priority locations, by the use of funds, specifically safety.
I think a period at that location is good,
Period, okay,
period.
all right. How do we
Period,
put
yeah.
in something about you know, Rebecca, people were taking the 2.5 million, and for other priorities, this will be safety improvements, the bonding, the article 8 importantly, includes specific, and we don't have to say what specific allocation of
Allocation for safety improvements.
allocation of funding for, we can wordsmith this. Okay, so how do we change it? Importantly,
So can
specific,
I just
Yes.
jump in and say,
please, yes.
this is my cross to bear always. After the word safety, put in pedestrian and bicycle improvements, because that
Okay,
language
yes.
is actually used in the article.
Safety, yes, good. Safety, for safety.
Can you just say for bicycle and pedestrian safety?
Yes,
Yeah, that's. Yeah,
Does it include for vehicular safety improvements?
well,
it talks about traffic signalization improvements and pavement. I mean, I'm just looking at the text itself here.
I'll just say,
If it's allocation of funding, maybe authorization of funding.
yes, exactly, yes. That's more accurate. Funding, to enable or for?
Just
It's
Funding.
for.
Four is good. Okay, Article 8 importantly incorporates a specific, we don't really the A specific authorization of funding for bicycle and pedestrian safety improvements. I mean, it's clear about the roadways, and I don't think we need to get into the motor vehicle. I mean, that safety is important too, but I think this is both what the public is emphasizing and needs to be highlighted in addition to pavement maintenance as a complementary thing.
Yeah.
So are we ready to go? Are we ready to vote, or do people want to do an individual read through slowly, or how do we want to do this? Because if people can hang on, I want to do a couple more things in the meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Can we read through it?
Yes. Shall I read it, or do you want to just read it?
No, you don't have to read it.
Okay. Should I make it a tiny bit bigger? See if we
No,
can-
smaller, so we can see more.
Yeah, it's better. Smaller is better. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Can I make one other suggestion?
Sure.
In the sentence that starts since shortly after its inception,
Yes.
it says the quality of our roads is of primary importance for mobility. I think
Mhm.
add the words and sidewalks after the word roads.
Oh, I think that's fine.
And that also is reflected in this text.
How about transportation infrastructure?
Well, that would include, you know, like the train, I think. I think
Well,
that's,
Okay.
I think it's better it's better to have. I mean, we're talking about this, we're not, yeah, there's other things we need, but this bonding doesn't touch them. I move further?
Yeah.
yep.
Mhm.
All set?
Okay,
We don't need, we
So-
don't need in addition, both places.
yeah, get rid of that. Just there has
Where
been,
where should I get rid of it? Of the first or second occurrence?
You know, I
The
think
first.
multi-year shows up 3 times in 2 sentences.
I don't mind that.
You don't? Okay.
Well, I think people have to realize.
Yeah. Mark, can you just move it down a little bit so we see how that reads?
Yes,
Yeah, so maybe just not as a separate paragraph, but just sort of
sure, that's fine.
move, yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yeah, I like that, that's good. We don't
maybe,
have that many-
do you have to say, well, I don't like multi-year approach. Can you say this approach will also enable? Do you have to say multi-year again?
Yeah, we don't need to.
Yeah,
So
That
this
works.
approach will also enable.
yep.
Okay. We'll also and then. Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay. What do we say here? If we say collaborating, is that better than active collaborating? I'm worried about this thing about, oh, you don't know what, you know, what Dan said, we don't know what we want yet. I'll just say, I think it's good like it is. The language is a little fun, implemented,
Projects.
and,
How about, are collaborating to identify safety projects that incorporate specific authorization of funding for bicycle and pedestrian safety improvements.
okay,
That incorporate specific authorization, yeah. Of funding for bicycle and pedestrian safety improvements.
um,
Then you can wipe out that last sentence.
Yeah, that's good.
good, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that better.
And then, yeah. Both.
With specific
That, yeah,
authorization.
that just repeats,
Yeah.
so you take that last sentence out.
Okay, specific authorization, yeah, no, yeah, we don't need it, that's great.
Do
Yeah.
we have, do we just get rid of the the priority locations statement?
Um, I'm trying to say project at priority,
No, it's both in, okay.
I mean, is that okay?
I will defer to Phil if you think that this covers,
Locations, using, that, utilize. What about, let me just, something, funds,
specifically authorized.
yes, yeah, I think that's.
We've got too many Z's.
I think you got a spelling error there. There you go.
That's- Okay, hold on a second. And consultants are collaborating to identify safety projects that, to utilize, utilizing funds.
No. It's that utilize or utilizing, that utilize
Okay.
funding.
So, and consultants are collaborating to identify safety projects for, at priority, for implementation at priority locations that utilize funding, specifically authorized for bicycle pedestrian safety improvement. This is probably okay, right?
Making me dizzy.
Yeah, for implementation, do we want to say, or? Anyway, I think this is good, safety projects, I mean, people understand. All right, and then I think it's nice to end again with a
I like that
costing.
It's an elegant ending.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve it.
Do I hear a second?
I
Second.
second.
Third.
Okay, and let's vote, Dan,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes,
Phil. And
Yes.
myself, Mark, yes, okay, awesome, okay, and I'm gonna save this, and I'm also gonna save a second copy. And get this to people, okay.
Taking words
So
into a new level.
So this can, yeah, and we're not over yet, because, couple things, let me
Nice.
just to get it off the, thing, there are two more things on the agenda. Besides liaison public comment, if anybody stays with us, the fifth item I'm gonna take out of turn, just, because it can be kept very short. The normal, I mean, the committees, our charge says committee selects a chair. The sort of, often followed tradition is chair serves through the next town meeting. So in terms of who will be chair, after town meeting, the committee gets to choose somebody, and I think, I was just gonna ask among the people who are here, who haven't been chairs, which includes 3 of you. If any of you wanted to state that you either are interested in possibly becoming chair after town meeting or not, that might facilitate people thinking about what we might take up at next meeting or you know, could even be done. I could chair a meeting after town meeting and all that gets done. On the other hand, the advantage of having somebody pre-selected before town meeting would be that they could set an agenda for whatever the meeting is after town meeting. So, any volunteers, positive or negative?
So I can't because I'm the co-chair of the tax relief exemption task force.
Okay,
Prefer not to.
okay, Phil.
I don't have a burning desire to be the chair.
Okay, so anyway, but I just thought it'd be
Okay.
useful, Rebecca had sent me several messages kind of asking, you know, who's up next and did we have a standard procedure? Nick has been, chair before, and I don't know what he thinks, you know, I think these things are better, you know, because it is something we vote on, it's better to discuss it in the open meeting. I don't know about Rebecca or Mariana. I am as of right now, I'm willing to continue being chair for as long as committee would want me to. But again, it's up to the committee. So we can.
I think it would be great to continue as chair. I am happy to be chair after I'm not co-chair of another committee. So I'm
Okay.
happy to put my hand up for future, but just not
Okay.
now.
Okay,
can't do
so
this.
we can talk more at next meeting.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
now I have one really important thing. We got this opportunity at the last minute to do a letter for MCI, and I drafted something.
Okay.
You know, and I'm sure this is gonna go on, and there's a lot of other opportunities. So let me see if I can share, and we can make this fast and good enough. More, share, which one is this? Okay. Let me know if people can see my screen and what I'm sharing. Oh, jeez. Okay, can people see the screen?
Yes.
See the wording, okay, so let me just run through this and I'm open to any and all suggestions for improvement, or we don't send a letter or whatever, it's kind of last minute. But I figured I'd put it on the agenda because we have this meeting today and the deadline supposedly is April 30th. So I'll read through it. TAC Group responds to requests contained in April 16th, 2025 letter from MCI Concord Advisory Board. With respect to MCI Concord redevelopment project, the TAC offers these recommendations. This first one is inspired by Ellen's great comment. Do not take a car-centric approach when planning for transportation needs associated with future uses of the redeveloped MCI site. 2, provide facilities and locations for bus, van, rideshare, and private service pickup and drop-off of passengers. Provide to the maximum extent possible pedestrian, bicycle, and public transportation connectivity to West Concord Center and its West Concord MBTA commuter rail station. 4, provide sufficient parking for bicycles. This should be sheltered from rain and snow and include both openly accessible, functionally designed bike racks and also a separate secure locked area for parking bicycles. I mean, we either in this letter or in ongoing things, we should ask for the maximum things we want, because it's much better if they're built in early in the plan. Urge MassDOT to work closely with the town of Concord to ensure that any redesign of the Route 2 rotary and associated feeder roads, get rid of this and, will provide for safe and convenient pedestrian bicycle crossing of Route 2. I don't know if I should say cyclist, maybe I should say cyclist, bicycle, anyway, I'll leave that up to others. And then one more last thought I had was carefully consider how any needed truck delivery or pickup services may be accommodated safely and efficiently with minimal interference with other transportation modes. I mean,
Wow.
you know, you look at Concord Center when somebody delivers something, what happens?
Right.
And if they've got a blank slate and enough space, they can think about this.
Mhm.
So what do people think?
Boy, for a rough draft, you did a good job. That's,
I'm
I really like the bicycle, the incorporation of what Acton has done in terms of closed bicycle storage and the incorporation of the pedestrian and bicycle crossing of Route 2. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of those two. That's great.
Yeah, we need to open people's eyes, and we're the transportation committee, so we gotta sort of do this. And the bicycle, frankly, the bicycle thing was informed by some discussions we had a while back about the that development, asking developers to kind of do this too.
Mhm.
Phil, do you have any immediate comments? Again, this doesn't have to be our last word. It's just an opportunity to give some early input. Get people thinking.
Can you
Are you-
scroll down a little bit so I can see
Absolutely.
number 3?
Sure.
Okay. Yep, this is good. I think, of the various things, having the connection with West Concord is critical. So that it's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
a
one
sort of
thing
separate place that's, sort of incorporated into West Concord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's maybe on the, because the first one is my non-car centric. I think I don't know if we need something separate with transportation, but I think the sense of it not being a, what did they say, fourth center for Concord, that it be integrally connected to the West Concord, community, retail space, and it should be an integral part of West Concord Village.
Is there any way to make 3 stronger? I mean, you could say public transportation integral connectivity, or you could have another sentence that said, develop operational model and funding for a free shuttle or something.
Why are we
Yeah.
excluding Concord Center?
So,
Pardon?
Well, okay, so I
What'd you
got
say,
2
Dan?
questions. Let me just answer let's get Dan's question on the table first.
I said, why are we excluding Concord Center? Because, I mean, if anything, we could use it as a hub of some sort possibly. So, I mean, because West Concord is separated from Concord right now. If we're just connecting West Concord to this.
Well, we could repeat that statement. We could repeat 3 with Concord Center.
Well, public transportation connectivity between West Concord Center, the West Concord MBTA commuter rail. Just add Concord Center. Because, that's the Route 2 crossing,
Yeah.
Concord
yeah.
Center to West Concord. And I think it makes a stronger case.
Well, let me just I'm just gonna put a placeholder in there. So one thing is I get a sense from different people that the close proximity to West Concord train station there is a tremendous opportunity and involves sort of local construction infrastructure and stuff at the MCI site. Connectivity Concord Center is also very important. We can put it as a separate bullet, whatever. I think it might get a little confusing and be harder for people to respond to questions on if we make it a single bullet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it has to be in the same bullet, but we've had a lot of conversation about issues with crossing Route 2 from the center to West Concord. This is a major opportunity for us to, if there's gonna be a redesign, I wanna make sure that there's an inclusion of Concord Center to West Concord issues.
Connectivity,
Between, like you say, between West
Between all
Concord and
Concords.
Concord Center.
Yeah, well, not necessarily West Concord and Concord Center, but MCI,
Okay.
Concord Center.
Yeah, okay.
between and among is the same language.
It may be by way, it may be via West Concord Center, but keeping it in the discussion.
I'm gonna, anyway, you guys will edit this, but between MCI, Concord, West Concord. It's, I don't know what word to put.
Maybe it's not also important, is, essential for, what do you want to say, town, sort of like town, character town, essential for.
I'll just, anyway, I'll put it as a
Okay,
placeholder. You
fine.
so
Okay.
which one is a, I would just say needs to
Maybe,
be,
Dan, maybe the way
Yeah.
Dan said it is good. The redevelopment of MCI Concord is a unique opportunity to provide connectivity. How about that?
Yeah. Is a unique.
that good enough?
Uh,
MCI and MCI Concord, I mean, I don't know, there's this debate about should it become another town center or not, and I don't wanna like, well, maybe you don't want to provide increased connectivity to, I mean, do you wanna say provide increased,
I don't know if increased is that.
you can enhance?
To provide connectivity between. Yeah, it's a unique opportunity to provide connectivity between those three places.
Okay,
I think, just, you can say West Concord, doesn't have to be Concord Center.
Okay.
West Concord Center, Concord.
yeah, I know.
And the
So-
MCI site, because we don't know really what the MCI site's going to become, but it should be integrated.
Yeah.
Connectivity, right?
And what do you guys think about adding the word multimodal transportation, or the phrase multimodal transportation connectivity between Concord Center?
Yes, that's great, sure.
So in between provide and connectivity, put in multimodal.
Yep. I like that.
You're getting good at this wordsmithing thing.
Any other things to add?
So go up to the very top, which says not car centric. Do not take the car. Maybe, is it okay to say wherever that integration sentence is, multimodal down? So is there a way to say, rather than view MCI Concord as a separate town center, or maybe it's after that, the redevelopment? Maybe rather than a separate town center. What was the phrase that was used as a separate town? Another town center?
Yeah. So have another bullet that says, something along the lines of. Not creating an additional town center.
Well, first of all, is that a transportation issue? And, I mean, the letter is a little peculiar because it had please respond with your thoughts to the following questions. Start, what do you view as the best future use or mix of uses based on the mission and perspective? Stop, what are your concerns about redevelopment based on the mission and perspective? What do you value about the current site? Relation to West Concord? You want to keep consistent in the future, please share any resources. So that's kind of short notice, but
We're not really answering those questions.
well, I think I look at it as an opportunity to design our own questions and not come up with transportation. But I'm not sure how to, to me, the way that it doesn't become a third town center is that it connects to West Concord especially, and also to Concord Center, and then it's, it enhances things, it doesn't become isolated.
What does it mean to not become another Concord Center?
Yes, I don't know.
Because it does abut Concord, West Concord.
Yeah, I think there might be a fear, and I would have a fear too, if there was a place with a lot of either business, residential, jobs, industry, whatever, and you could only get there by car.
Yeah.
Because you're taking your life in your hands if you try to walk there.
Well, there's a bicycle path connection
And
to
there's no
West
public,
Concord.
and there's no public transportation. Well, there's a bicycle path close, yeah,
No, it abuts it.
yeah.
It connects the two.
But again, people do make mistakes, like putting the truck delivery driveway right next to the pedestrian.
But you address
access.
that in number 7.
Yeah, so anyway. I think this is a positive contribution to the discussion, and I'm open to people to either move to approve as a letter back to them, or to add more things or change things.
Well,
So,
we don't have a chance to approve it except at this meeting, right?
Well, to respond to their April 30th deadline, but there, again, I think this is just the first quick. I mean, the way I feel like if there's some valuable things here, we should get them in early. On
So
paper.
I would say that this is great, and that we should view their meeting with us as, in our normal committee meeting will be an opportunity to kind of think, to add more details or to address as the development becomes more clear, as options become more clear.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, as the TAC, our goal should be to present them with transportation issues that we see
Mhm.
relevant to this development.
right.
I mean, I'm not sure we can tell them what the best future use is relative to the charge that we have as transportation
Right.
advisory.
What I could add to the first bullet would be to say, avoid choices.
That would create a third town center.
And, well, I would say an isolated
Oh, okay.
island that can only be safely accessed, reached by driving a car. I mean, I'm trying to put it in simple, you know what I'm saying? That it could easily, you look at the Rotary, that's already a scary area if you're not in a tank. And
This place is right on the bike path.
yes, it's
What we
very
have to
close.
do is make sure that there is sufficient bike infrastructure near the bike path.
Exactly, and
Access.
getting this in early helps people figure where to put that so that it's obvious and facilitates things and
So
avoid-
maybe with its proximity to the Bruce Freeman. Bicycle access should be. Highlighted, it should be,
Mhm.
I don't know, Phil, help me here,
so
accentuated.
I think if you scroll down a little bit, where we're talking about bike parking. That's, I think, 5 or 6 or something.
No, hold on a second. Yeah, it's right.
Yeah,
here.
fine.
So maybe we can say, in addition to parking, infrastructure.
Mhm.
Because I agree with what Dan says. I mean, being able to get off of the Bruce Freeman and then right into this requires, or, ideally you'd have a cycle track. So you just have a continuation of the rail trail in a sense. It'd be like a rail spur, but instead of a railroad, you'd have a bicycle path that would go right to the center of this area. And that would allow you to get back and forth from the train, for example, right into this area quickly.
It's a natural. I mean, this
Yeah,
thing is.
it is a
ideal.
natural. But, you know, unless you plan for it and you like, I'm thinking about uh the area between Inman Square and Porter Square. There's a big cycle track on Beacon Street, or Kendall Square. Kendall has been extensively redone with, you know, moving the curbstones and, you know, making a separate cycle track and a separate sidewalk and a separate separate street.
Mhm.
So we
So
have an
if I-
opportunity to
if I
plan
just-
something like that.
Phil, if I just put in a number 6, provide a trail spur connection to the Bruce Springman Rail Trail, it's sufficient placeholder for that thought.
I
Again,
think
this is like,
make it say bike trail, just so that it's not ambiguous. Or bike and ped trail or something like that.
okay, good, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's so close, it would be, but again, you know, people, weird things fall through the cracks, and then once somebody starts paying somebody to make a plan, and then it's, oh, well, we have to move this building to do that. It's too
Well, the
late.
good thing is that everything, you know, it's gonna be completely cleared. I think you get a fresh start. Except where the wastewater treatment plant is.
So
So
do I have a motion to approve and, or? I mean, again, it won't be the last, we can send an amended message after April 30th. But I want to
Yeah.
get in under the wire.
excuse me.
Move
I
to
move that we
approve.
approve this, this letter to MCI Concord as written.
Second,
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 okay, Dan,
approve.
Phil,
yes.
Ellen,
Yes,
myself. Okay, thanks, everybody. Okay, so now we can move to,
One question,
yeah,
I
sure,
mean,
go ahead.
should we be thinking in terms of these 4 questions or 3 questions that he asks? Just-
I think going into the future, yes,
Is that within our purview?
as individuals, you can certainly
Oh, sure.
do anything you want. As a committee, I think that's an open question. We should think about that more.
Okay.
And,
well, this letter was sent to everybody, so, you know,
Yeah.
we are responding as the transportation folks, and the other folks who have got a planning or housing charter will respond in their, you know,
Yeah,
based on
there's
their
not-
point of view.
there's pretty much nothing here we haven't talked about in the committee, so I think we're handing them ready-made some of the things we've, you know, pondered. And the timing, I think the timing is important because, you know, they're
Yes.
talking about, scenarios, right? And, if whoever's creating the scenarios doesn't have this input soon, scenarios will have to be retrofitted, which doesn't always work so well. You'll be butting up against other things. Okay, so I would, Terry, Ms. Ackerman, are you still online? Would you like to make a liaison comment?
No, I'm all set. Good job with those letters. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Terry, for hanging in there. Are there any public comments? Tanya?
Yes, and
Identify
yes,
yourself.
Tanya Gala, 62 Prescott Road. There is, in the first letter you wrote,
Mhm.
there needs to be a D before one of the sentences where it says the Transportation Advisory Committee, and then the Public
Okay,
Commission.
Okay.
That's it.
okay, I think we can fix that. That. I'll check that. Okay, all right, then, are there any more? If there are any more public comments, please speak up. I don't see any. And, we're down to 2 people here in the room, 2 people online. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Ellen, for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was
much.
I think we got 2 very good documents.
Yeah, and
Got
thanks
got
for,
stuff done.
okay, you take care, guys.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.